out and securing a location?
Set up a perimeter, first of all, like they did. I think they pretty much did that. Then also, anything high, you need to have an unobstructed view from a higher place, like either seated somewhere high or have a drone.
Yeah, so I was at the rally 15 feet behind Trump and the Secret Service. You know, a few things I noticed were the security at the magnetometers, the metal detectors when you walk in, was quick and not very thorough. The 3 bleachers where Corey was fatally wounded and 2 others were critically wounded was supposed to be wristbands, VIP only. That was not the case. It was quite unorganized, and it was very surprising that an event of this magnitude was organized in such a poorly way. Right there on those 4 vents is where Thomas Crooks was stationed when he was shooting at the stage that Trump was on. The counter-assault teams were on that building, and another building that we can't see, but that is the building that Thomas Crooks was on with the 4 vents on it, and this is very similar to where Trump's stage was.
So there was no one on either of these 2 buildings besides Thomas Crooks?
There was local police located inside that building.
But not on top?
Not on top.
That seemed like such an obvious thing. Does it seem inconceivable that they were not on top of the roof?
Yeah, or at least having a drone doing something, or I mean something, but personnel is better.
It's also important to mention that they were right where that 16 is. That's where that one Secret Service counter sniper team was. And you could say that
roof right there.
That roof on building 16.
That's where the fatal shot was taken.
No, that's just where one counter sniper team was.
The sniper team that was up on this roof here, they readjust. The guy who's up on the tripod, he readjusts. He pulls that tripod back and then re-engages his scope and actually lowers the muzzle. So when CS comes out, survey of an area, counter sniper. So they're going to do their own survey of an area. And what they do is they're looking at lines of sight, and they're going to look at what's going to be in their area of responsibility. Once they've identified that, they're locked into that area of responsibility. So that team could have been watching something over here. Could have been the tower. Depends on how much, you know, and how much they were going to cover and what their terrain is.
So even if you were called in to identify somebody in this vicinity, there's like 5 buildings here, and they all look the same. Like, that's not an easy task.
With how little ground there's to cover, you don't think it's that easy to
There's
find?
5 buildings back there. They didn't know there was going to be a rooftop shooter. What they had to be ready for was any kind of shooter, and any kind of bomb, and any kind of physical threat, and any kind of rogue driver. So we're looking at all of this through the lens of how did that counter sniper team not shoot?
Because we already know how the story unfolded.
Right, but if you put yourself in the Secret Service shoes, the morning of the 5 minutes before
hindsight is always 20/20. Okay, we get the benefit of knowing everything now in time since it happened.
Joe Biden had an indoor event where there were apparently many more Secret Service agents assigned to her rally than Trump in an outdoor rally. What do you make of that?
Well, she's the First Lady of the United States. She is entitled to U.S. Secret Service protection. In terms of manpower, she is what's considered a satellite detail under the President's detail. They're going to make assessments as to what is needed for each event, the type of event, the location of the event, the number of people in attendance, how are they going to do the screening. When you have 2 events in the same area, there is going to be a dissipation of manpower.
So strategically, Thomas Crook chose a bad location.
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
Well, one, they can see you, most likely. Somebody over there can see you. Because as soon as you hit that crest, somebody knows you're up there. So whether or not you shoot him immediately, that's another story I don't understand yet. Number 2, as soon as he shoots that round, he's not coming off that building. That's it. So you'd want to have a technique. One, it'd be further away by a long ways. Also, it depends. If you're a trained sniper, you should be able to take that shot 300 or 400 yards at least. And I wouldn't use an iron-sighted weapon either. I'd use an optic weapon. You'd need, if you're going to shoot from back there, you need to be a skilled shooter to shoot iron sights, honestly.
And we have to keep in mind that it was 100, 110 degrees on top of it, so it must have been a pretty uncomfortable position for him to be in, laying prone. And just so people know your experience, what's the distance that you've taken someone out from?
Like 900
yards.
Like yeah, meters.
For the Americans out there, meters, yards, pretty similar.
Yeah,
right?
pretty close.
But we're not talking feet, we're talking yards.
Yeah.
To test and see how difficult it is to take the shot at 148 yards, at 450 feet approximately, the Thomas Crook shot. We're gonna have a total amateur like myself. I have very little rifle training, a little bit of pistol training, but I am not a good shot by any means. And we're gonna have an expert marksman, a 20-year-plus sniper for the Special Forces to take the shot, and anyone else that cares to take it. So this is what Thomas Crook was spotted with at the rally.
Something similar.
Who besides a sniper or a hunter would want to carry this?
Golfer.
A golfer?
Yeah.
We can't totally recreate the environment. Knowing what I know about you, I think if you just pretend that there's some communists out there, I think you'll be pretty accurate, right?
Probably. There we go.
Ooh, smoked them. For the record, I'm not pretending this is a president. I'm pretending this is a communist.
There it is.
There it is.
Just from my reaction of doing this, the chances of only grazing somebody's ear would be ridiculous. So for the people that do say, hey, this is staged, that would be the craziest shot to pull off.
Yeah.
And you would never get an inexperienced marksman to do it. Even a guy that is top in his class.
Yeah.
Would Thomas's elevation have made the shot easier?
Oh yeah, and he didn't have all his grass to deal with because we can't see the whole target right now either.
So he had a target that was a little bit higher, and he had maybe a 10, 12 foot range.
Yeah, and if you're shooting, he didn't have enough high angle to where he'd compensate a high angle calculation. He was only like, you know, a little bit. He's almost just barely down.
It's said that Thomas Crook was in the scope of a sniper for over 8 minutes, and that the sniper requested permission to take him out and was denied. Why would that be?
Depends whose sniper they're talking about. Was he on the ground walking around the building? Was he in the crowd somewhere? Was he actually up on the roof? If he was up on the roof, what did he have with him during that time frame, this is called 8 minutes, that he was up on that roof?
Civilians on the ground even saw this guy with a gun on their roof.
He's got a gun!
Given that there could have been a potential assassin to take out a former president, how was the sniper not cleared to take the shot?
Every agency's snipers have different rules of engagement. So you're going to have to go back and do an after-action review of a timeline of setting up, you know, when these people were calling out that there was someone on the roof with a gun, to the actual timeline of when former President Trump was allowed to come on the stage. And you're also going to have to sync up with that any law enforcement communications, whether it's via the radio or via text messaging. You know, you'll have to sync all of these items up to see when it was first called out that there was someone on the roof with a weapon, as to when it was communicated